The dark side of modern football. You see a jersey. They see a showcase. You see a goal. They see geopolitics. You see passion. They see opportunity. Behind the spectacle of modern football, there's a hidden world of invisible interests. And spoiler, it doesn't care about the love from the stands. It's interested in what football can buy. Influence, power, silence. But what the hell am I talking about? So let's start this dossier with one of the most important terms. What is sports washing? Sports washing refers to a growing practice in modern football, when a state, usually authoritarian, uses the sport as a tool to improve its international image. Instead of speeches or direct propaganda, the chosen path is another, more seductive and emotional. The country buys a club, sponsors a league, hosts a World Cup. But why does this happen? Because authoritarianism doesn't pair well with prestige. Countries with a history of repression, censorship, inequality, or human rights violations often face diplomatic resistance, criticism from the international press, and distrust from investors. Trying to earn respect through politics? Tough. Through the media? Impossible. Through democratic debate? Even harder. That's where football comes in, because it has what these regimes don't. Unconditional love from the masses, positive media coverage, emotional appeal beyond logic, and easy access to youth. Qatar, for example, knew it would never have the prestige of a democratic power. But by hosting the World Cup and turning PSG into a symbol of sports luxury, it stepped into the big leagues. With air conditioning in the stadium and spotlight on the pitch, the backstage, like worker deaths or migrant mistreatment, stayed in the shadows. Money laundering in football, when the pitch serves crime. Football has always been about passion, but today, behind the scenes, it's also about something else: cleaning dirty money. UK authorities sounded the alarm. Football clubs are now an emerging high-risk sector for money laundering. And the reason is simple: football moves billions through under-regulated figures, with little transparency and plenty of wiggle room to inflate numbers. How does it work? An investor buys a player for way more than they're actually worth. But the club and the athlete accept. After all, it's profit for everyone. But that extra value didn't come from sporting merit. It came from dirty money, now looking legit. Or worse, the real club owner doesn't even appear. He's hidden behind offshore companies based in tax havens. The board is just a front, and no one really knows who runs the team, or where the money comes from. Looking at some club cases: Chelsea, from Russian oligarch to Wall Street tycoon. Stamford Bridge. For nearly 20 years, Chelsea was Roman Abramovich's playground, a Russian billionaire with a free pass to the Kremlin. He bought the club in 2003 and poured in over £1 billion, turning a mid-tier team into a European powerhouse. The fans chanted his name. But behind the titles, who was Roman? An oligarch who made his fortune in post-Soviet Russia, with direct ties to Vladimir Putin. A man accused of using football as a tool for reputation laundering in the West. The party lasted until 2022. With the war in Ukraine, Abramovich was sanctioned, lost the club, and went from benefactor to persona non grata, accused of having blood on his hands. Then the oligarch left, and the investor entered. Chelsea was sold for £2.5 billion to an American consortium led by Todd Boehly. From a man seeking geopolitical influence to a fund seeking financial returns. The result? Over £600 million in aimless transfers, serial coach changes, and a club turned into a sports capitalism experiment. With Abramovich, Chelsea was a personal power project. Now it seems to be just another asset in a portfolio. The question remains: what's worse, being used as political billboard or sold as shelf product? Meanwhile, the fans watch it all, wondering where the soul of the club went. PSG, Qatar's luxury billboard. In 2011, Paris Saint-Germain became Qatar's perfect display window. Control went to Qatar Sports Investments, the country's sovereign fund, linked to Doha's royal family. The mission? Turn PSG into a European powerhouse, and Qatar into a global one. Along came Neymar, Mbappe, Messi. Along came astronomical numbers. And also, sports washing. Inflated sponsorships, like from the Qatar Tourism Authority, raised suspicion. UEFA discovered the declared value was way above the real one, financial makeup with state-colored paint. Meanwhile, Qatar faced allegations of human rights abuses, especially during preparations for the 2022 World Cup. Thousands of migrant workers exploited in inhumane conditions. But as PSG lifted trophies and filled headlines, criticism turned into a distant echo. In 2015, Bastia fans sent a message: Qatar funds PSG and terrorism. Harsh? Yes. But revealing. In the end, PSG became more than a club. And although the Champions League run with Luis Enrique's emotional story and the loss of his daughter touched everyone, the truth is, the team became a state propaganda piece, with Paris as the stage and football as bait. Red Bull. Football with a taste of energy drink. Red Bull didn't buy a team. It bought several, and built a sports empire powered by cans. Salzburg, Bragantino, New York Red Bulls, and the most controversial of all, RB Leipzig. In Germany, they picked a 5th division club in 2009, renamed it, changed colors and crest, and within a few years, they were fighting in the top tier. A sporting success, sure. But at what cost? In the stands, RB Leipzig became a symbol of everything fans hate, a soulless club made of plastic and marketing. Banners, boycotts, tennis balls thrown onto the field, assaults, all to say, you don't belong in our football. And the fury has a name. The famous 50+1 rule, which ensures fans own most of the clubs. Red Bull found a loophole. They left only 23 voting members, all connected to the company. Meanwhile, Bayern has over 360,000. RB became a product, a moving display window with a built-in slogan. Red Bull gives you wings. But for fans, it pulled the ground from under them. The club became an extension of the brand. The stadium, a store. The player, a marketing piece. Yes, they developed talent. Just ask Haaland and Kunku. But in the end, the question shouted in Leipzig's graffiti is, are you rooting for a team or a company? Red Bull thought it could buy tradition. But in Germany, tradition doesn't seem to have a price, and football isn't sold so easily. Manchester City. The most expensive goal in the East. Before 2008, City was just another English team. Then it became Abu Dhabi's global showroom. Sheikh Mansour bought the club, poured in over £1.3 billion and built a title-winning machine. But along with trophies came controversy. What if this is all just a disguise? Amnesty International calls the project blatant sportswashing, using football to clean up the image of a country accused of repression, censorship and labor abuse. And the money? Multiple leaks suggest the club inflated sponsorships with companies linked to its owner to cheat financial fair play. Result: 115 pending charges. While the Etihad Stadium becomes a beacon of success, many wonder, is it worth winning everything like this? 777 Partners. The fund that treats clubs like falling stock. They're not sheiks or eccentric billionaires. They're investors from Miami who look at your team's jersey and see a financial asset. 777 Partners is the clearest example of what happens when football turns into spreadsheet. They bought a bunch of clubs. Vasco from Rio de Janeiro, Genoa, Hertha Berlin, Standard Liège, Red Star, Sevilla, and tried to get Everton. But behind the talk of restructuring and modern management came scandal. Their track record? Chilling. The founder was once convicted for cocaine trafficking. The fund is under lawsuits in the US, accused of defaults, and in 2024 even temporarily lost control of some clubs due to missed payment. At Standard Liège, chaos erupted. Unpaid wages, violent protests, cancelled matches, transfer bans. At Vasco, they promised a new giant, but delayed investments, and the Brazilian courts even suspended the club's sale. Instead of rebuilding, they delivered crisis. 777 became synonymous with instability. And worse, if the fund collapses, it drags historic clubs down with it. This is hyper-financialized football. Passion? History? Fans? None of that matters when ROI doesn't add up. For them, a club is just a number. And fans, a line in Excel. The final question: when the owner only cares about profit, who holds the crest when everything falls apart? From Manchester to Rio, Paris to Barcelona, we've seen the hidden owners wear many masks. Authoritarian states seeking prestige, billionaires cleaning up names, brands turning clubs into franchises, investors treating passion like business. Football, this universe of genuine emotion, has also become a geopolitical and financial chessboard. And us, the fans, where do we fit into all this? Cheering for goals funded by petrodollars while ignoring the abuse? Not asking where the money comes from, as long as the trophy arrives? Each of us answers with our conscience. But one thing is clear. The game off the field has a huge impact on what happens on it. Centuries-old clubs switch owners like coaches, and the consequences can be dark. Sporting inequality, institutional collapse, and the erosion of values. But anyway, let's keep resisting. The emotion of football should always prevail. Did you like this video? Subscribe for more in-depth content.